Corinne Vance hunched over the microscope, her breath a shallow whisper in the sterile air. The light, a sickly yellow, flickered across the lens, illuminating the inert cells on the slide. Another failure. The data confirmed it, a blunt statement of non-viability, a repeated echo of every previous attempt. Her fingers, stained with reagents, trembled as she adjusted the focus. Hair, a wild escape from its messy bun, framed a pale, drawn face. A single, dried tear track marked her cheek, a ghost of countless sleepless nights. Around her, complex machinery blinked and hummed, a chorus of old electronics. She muttered calculations, cross-referencing genetic sequences. Every path led to the same dead end. Human fertility, the data insisted, had simply vanished. The ancient airlock clanged, a jarring sound in the facility's quiet decay. Director Kael strode into the lab, his crisp uniform a stark contrast to the rumpled lab coat Corinne wore. His eyes, devoid of pleasantries, swept over her exhausted face, then fixed on the screens displaying her bleak results. "Any progress, Dr. Vance?" His voice held no empathy, only a relentless demand. "The latest birth projections are grim. We have less than a generation left. The Enclave is losing hope." The pressure tightened around Corinne's lungs. An unspoken accusation hung in the air. Kael's gaze sharpened, settling on her. "The Enclave has already committed significant resources to preparing for the cure's mass production, Doctor. We cannot afford further delays." His words fueled a desperate energy within Corinne. She threw herself back into the work, fingers flying across the console. In a radical pivot, she initiated a negative correlation scan, searching for genetic patterns, not associated with known diseases, a desperate reversal of her entire approach. Dawn's first weak light filtered through the reinforced windows, painting dust motes in the dimness. A single, baffling result flashed on her primary monitor. An obscure sequence, dismissed as noise in previous analyses, now stood out. It was not a mutation. It was not a defect. It appeared integrated, a systemic change. She cross-referenced ancient genetic databases salvaged from the subterranean data vault. A heavily corrupted data log briefly flickered into existence, mentioning ecological balance and planetary regulation attributed to a burn E. She dismissed it, her focus locked on the immediate mystery. The data was too sparse, too fragmented to draw conclusions, but it was an unexpected twist, complicating everything she thought she knew. Corinne stared at the screen, a new, unsettling question forming in her mind. What if this was not a disease to be cured, but something else entirely? Her comms unit buzzed, a priority message from Director Kael filling the screen. "Dr. Vance, I'm initiating the final phase of resource allocation for the cure's mass production. I expect your formula within the next 48 hours. Humanity is counting on you." Corinne looked from the screen, where the integrated sequence mocked her conventional understanding, to the cold, demanding message. Kael had already committed. The immense, irreversible weight of his expectation and the world's hope crashed down on her. She grasped the terrifying possibility that she might be on the wrong path entirely. The anomaly mocked her. Its impossible deadline, Kael's relentless demands, they pressed Corinne into a corner. She needed more. The standard archives, the readily available data, offered no answers. The truth lay deeper. Director Kael's office was as stark as his face. His uniform, impossibly crisp, seemed to absorb all sound. "My focus remains on a direct solution, Vance. A cure." His voice was a low growl. "The answer isn't in the present data, Director. It's in the past, the subterranean data vault. The Nexus. I need access to the restricted historical biological data." Corinne's own voice felt raw. Kael's gaze sharpened. "Your focus shifts, Corinne. Time and resources are finite. You have limited access. Do not waste it." He dismissed her with a wave. The Nexus was a mausoleum of information. Cold, dry, silent. Rows of dormant servers stretched into the gloom, monuments to a forgotten age. Corinne's portable equipment hummed, a lonely sound in the vastness. Dust motes danced in her flashlight beam. She found correlations, undeniable patterns, historical population surges in other species, followed by inexplicable dips in fertility. But the human data remained elusive, a void in the pattern. Back in her lab, the fluorescent lights flickered, casting harsh shadows over her work. She tried to force the anomalous genetic sequence to revert in lab cultures. The cells died, or they developed grotesque, non-viable structures like a mockery of life. This was no simple bug. Kael's reports arrived daily, stark numbers charting humanity's decline. The dwindling children in the enclave, their parents clinging to the hope she represented, haunted her rare visits. She felt the weight of every desperate glance. Her body ached. Her mind screamed. Jasper Kincaid found her hunched over a microscope, the glow illuminating the dark circles under her eyes. He set a nutrient paste beside her. "You look like a ghost, Corinne." She pushed the paste away. "It's integrated, Jasper. Not an infection. It's part of the human genome now." His kind eyes held a practical skepticism. "Are you sure you're not just chasing ghosts, Corinne? We need tangible solutions. A cure, not a philosophy." He paused, then added, almost to himself, "Old Dr. Byrne in the archives hoards all the weird, forgotten data. Talks about nature's wisdom and cycles like some ancient shaman." Jasper's dismissive words echoed. Corinne left the lab. Dr. Fern. Eamon Byrne's corner of the archive was a quiet sanctuary. Dusty books piled high, ancient datapads stacked precariously. Byrne, frail but with remarkably sharp eyes, looked up as she approached. "I've watched your search, Corinne. Your desperation, your rigor." He held out a small, worn data chip. This data was suppressed centuries ago. It challenged humanity's self-perception, its drive for unchecked growth. His voice was a raspy whisper. "I give it to you because you're the only one who can truly understand and disseminate." Back in her lab, the metallic tang of old electronics filled the air. Corinne inserted the chip. Fragmented ecological studies scrolled across the screen, heavily redacted. A theoretical biological failsafes mechanism, designed to prevent catastrophic overpopulation in complex ecosystems. Her blood ran cold. The crisis wasn't a random affliction. It was a deliberate, natural design. A correction. Just as the full weight of this paradigm shift settled, the main power grid flickered. The lab plunged into a momentary, eerie darkness. Her comms chimed. A message flashed. Enclave-wide emergency broadcast initiated. Director Kael addressing all citizens. Kael was about to announce a lie. The subterranean data vault hummed, a low, ancient thrum that vibrated through the floor. Dust motes danced in the beam of Corinne's headlamp, illuminating dormant servers like silent sentinels of a forgotten age. Her temporary workspace, a small island of light, was a chaos of datapads and empty nutrient paste packets. Days had blurred into one long, caffeine-fueled vigil. Her practical spectacles, smudged, slid down her nose. A strand of hair escaped her disheveled bun, tickling her cheek. She ignored it, eyes locked on the glowing screen. She cross-referenced ancient ecological models with her own human genetic data. Patterns emerged, then solidified. Correlating lines stretched across millennia, periods of rapid human population growth. Consistently, they were followed by periods of unexplained, widespread fertility decline. Historically, people had called them plagues or environmental toxins, lies. The anomalous genetic sequence, the one she had discovered, was the biological trigger, a natural correction, a sophisticated, self-regulating evolutionary adaptation that subtly reduced fertility rates when a species' population threatened the carrying capacity of its environment. It was not a disease. It was an immune response from the planet itself. The truth hit her like a physical blow. Humanity wasn't cursed. It was corrected. She vibrated with the weight of it, the profound, terrifying clarity. She left the vault, the cold metallic scent of old electronics clinging to her clothes, and walked directly to Director Kael's office in the Enclave. Kael's office was sparse, functional. Dull gray walls, a utilitarian desk of salvaged metal. Harsh fluorescent lights flickered, casting stark shadows. Kael sat rigid behind his desk, his crisp, dark uniform impeccably neat. His stern, angular face was a mask of unwavering order. Corinne laid out her findings, her voice tight with urgency. She presented the irrefutable data, the historical correlations, the biological mechanism. A cure would not only be fighting nature, Director, she explained, her voice rising. It would doom humanity to repeat the cycle of overpopulation and collapse. For a moment, Kael's rigid face flickered. Something akin to shock, perhaps even a glimmer of understanding, softened his eyes. He listened in silence, his fingers tracing the edge of his desk. Hope surged through Corinne. He would see it. He would understand. Then, Kael's face hardened. His hand slammed on the desk, the sound echoing through the sterile space. "Defeatist science," he snarled. "A convenient excuse for failure." His eyes, filled with a relentless, desperate resolve, bored into her. "You have succumbed to despair, Dr. Vance. You have abandoned humanity." He stood, looming over the desk. "Based on the promising advancements reported by your division, I have initiated the construction of a mass production facility for the cure. I have made a public declaration to the Enclave, securing all necessary resources for its immediate, large-scale deployment." He leaned forward, his voice low and menacing. "You will complete that formula within 24 hours. Refuse, and I will reassign your research to a more pragmatic team." Corinne's stomach lurched. He had won. He didn't want the truth. He wanted a solution, any solution, that fit his narrative of human dominance. Kael's face was a mask of fury and desperation. He slammed his fist on the desk again. "You will deliver that formula, Dr. Vance," he snarled, "or I will personally ensure your research and your reputation are erased from history. The Enclave will have its cure, one way or another." He strode to the door, opened it, and was gone. The silence that followed was profound, amplifying Corinne's internal turmoil. She looked at the data on her tablet, the irrefutable truth of the correction, then at her trembling hands. They were now tasked with synthesizing the very cure she knew would be humanity's ultimate undoing. The lab's recycled air, thick with the scent of ozone and stale chemicals, pressed in on Corinne. Kael's ultimatum echoed in her head, a cold hammer blow against her skull. Her eyes, perpetually tired behind smudged spectacles, fixed on the holographic display. Genetic sequences for the cure scrolled across the screen, elegant yet terrifying. A biological agent designed to override the planet's natural fertility adaptation. Her hands hovered over the controls, fingers twitching, but she could not press the final synthesis command. She saw not a solution, but a poison, a deeper imbalance. Despair, a familiar companion, settled heavy in her chest. Her gaze drifted to the small, smooth stone on her console, a piece of granite Jasper had given her from the reclaimed wilds. She picked it up. Its cool, unyielding surface grounded her. It felt ancient, enduring. The planet's quiet resilience, its immense, unyielding power, flowed into her. An epiphany, clear and sharp as a winter morning, washed over her. True survival was not defiance. It was understanding. It was adaptation. Humanity's correction was no punishment. It was an opportunity, a chance to redefine its place, to live in balance. Her role was not to be a savior, fixing perceived flaws. She was a steward, guiding humanity toward a sustainable, humble existence. The choice, stark and undeniable, solidified within her: protect the planet's wisdom, even if it meant sacrificing humanity's immediate desire for proliferation. Corinne straightened, a new resolve setting her jaw. She moved with purpose. Her intimate knowledge of the correction's genetic structure, gained from months of futile attempts to force it to revert, now served a different master. She designed a complex counter-sequence within the cure. It would not immediately kill the cells, but cause the cure to rapidly degrade, becoming non-replicable after initial synthesis. Undetectable sabotage, a testament to her unique expertise. She accessed the rarely used emergency Enclave-wide comms override. Her broadcast, a compilation of irrefutable data, historical evidence, the biological mechanism of the correction, waited for her command. The airlock hissed open. Director Kael entered, his rigid posture framed by a small, determined security force. He moved like a man accustomed to having his demands met. "The cure, Dr. Vance." Kael's voice cut through the lab's hum. Corinne stood before him, no longer frantic, but a person of profound conviction. She held up a vial. Not harmless saline, but the cure she had synthesized, already beginning its programmed degradation. Her thumb pressed the comms activation. "Director." Her voice, calm and clear, filled the lab, then echoed through every channel within the enclave. "The cure you seek is not a solution. It is a perpetuation of the very imbalance that brought us to this precipice. This is not a disease, it is an adaptation. To reverse it would be to condemn us to repeat the cycle." Kael lunged, fury contorting his stern face. Corinne, anticipating his move, triggered the final, irreversible degradation of the cure's primary culture. The vial in her hand, the source of their desperate hope, became useless. The Enclave's comms erupted. Confusion, anger, then a dawning understanding rippled through the channels. Kael, defeated but still defiant, ordered her arrest. The immediate crisis had shifted, from finding a cure to grappling with an inconvenient truth. The future of humanity was now uncertain, forced to confront its own nature. Days later, Corinne Vance stood at the edge of the reclaimed wilds. The vibrant green expanse stretched out before her under a vast, open sky. Her posture was upright, shoulders relaxed. Her face was calm, eyes reflecting a deep understanding and acceptance, a faint, knowing smile playing on her lips. She held not a cure, but a small, symbolic seed, a gift from Jasper. She gazed at the thriving natural world, embodying a new kind of guardian. Not a savior, but a steward of balance and wisdom.